Hello everyone, back to tuning in to today's third video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 14 days for today's third video. Day 10 will take us to the 27th of August, so we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and NHC Ensembles. Maybe in a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. That will get us well into the early part of September. I should get on that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video release day was our 6/7 UK weather forecast. We've also released the detailed European outlook for the next week to 10 days. Very interesting forecast. That going to be some really hot weather in parts of Europe next week, especially focusing on France for that. Anyway, check out European Outlook. I'm going to try and get Storm Watch done for you this evening. So I will try and get a Storm Watch up this evening when all of the high res models have updated in the evening. If you could please like, share, subscribe on all today's videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, we're going to start off with the tropical Atlantic today. I haven't looked at this for a little while. Been a very quiet start to the hurricane season, as you tend to get with a developing El Nino. However, we have got a couple of interesting areas now. So we've got two orange X's, one just here and another one just there. So we've got disturbance 1 with a 40% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days, a 60% chance in the next 7 days. And we've also got disturbance 2, again with a 40% chance cyclone formation in the next 2 days, a 60% chance in the next 7 days. With that, by saying broad area of low pressure partially associated with a tropical wave is producing a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms near to the southwest of Cape Verde Islands. Further development of this low is possible while it moves toward the west-northwest at around 10 miles per hour across the eastern tropical Atlantic. And a tropical depression could form over the weekend before environmental conditions become unfavourable for development next week. With this one, they're saying that this is one, of course, they're saying that disorganised showers and thunderstorms continue in association with an elongated trough of low pressure centred over 900 miles southwest Cape Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of this system, and a tropical depression could form during the next 7 days while it moves west-northwestwards at 10 to 50 miles per hour across the tropical Atlantic. Notice they don't say anything about that one, downgrading next week. So this one might become a tropical depression and then weaken next week. This one could be, out of the two, this one could be the one to watch. It might become an actual hurricane. Have to wait and see. In the Eastern Pacific, things are very interesting as well. We've got Hurricane Hillary here in the eastern tropical Pacific. Now, that's going to be pushing northwards. So if we click on Hillary, we can see it's currently a Category 1 hurricane, giving maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 92 millibars. Clicking on Hillary and going there, we can see it's actually going to power up to a major hurricane in the next couple of days. So current position is just here. By tomorrow and into Saturday, major hurricane, and then it carries on northwards as a hurricane, then tropical storm, then goes post-tropical, and actually gives an impact to California. So anyone who's off to LA for for a holiday, not just LA, but anybody who's off to California, let's say, for a holiday, watch out, because it will be post-tropical. It won't be a tropical storm hurricane, but it will produce a lot of rain with that, I would have thought, and some strong winds as well. So it's going to be a little bit inclement in California through the latter stages of the weekend and into the early part of next week. So that's one to keep an eye on. Take your waterproofs with you. Right, coming back to home, the central inland temperature is currently sitting at 16.5.7 degree above 61 to 99 average. That is provisional to yesterday, to the 16th of August. Obviously, that's going to lift up over the next couple of days with very warm, quite hot weather that we've got, and then it'll probably start to level off, I would have thought, over the weekend into the beginning of next week. Have a show these for a little while. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts from Penn State University for the next week, 10 days. We've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS is down there on the bottom. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure and low pressure are being moved around by jet stream running above. Red and orange or orange extrapolates to high pressure, blue to low pressure. So these are for the 7 to 10 day time frame, which gets us towards the end of August, and you can see the ECM is placing a ridge of high pressure, blocking area of high pressure really, in the middle of the Atlantic and sending it up to Greenland. There's a trough of low pressure very close to the UK and Ireland, trough of low probably through here as well around Scandinavia, and the ridge, which is basically the heat dome, that's going to be bringing lots of hot weather to many parts of Europe, particularly Western Europe, early next week, although not the UK and Ireland, but France and Low Countries for the early part of next week. That heat dome and that ridge moving into towards the eastern parts of Europe as we come towards the end of August. The jet stream is doing something a little bit like that, so we're placed on the cool side of the jet under a trough of low pressure. Could be quite a cool and unsettled end to August. The GFS is very similar. Again, we've got the ridge just here, a little bit closer to Western Europe still, but the ridge is gradually moving more towards the eastern side of Europe. There's also a ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic going up towards Greenland, and then we've got a trough of low pressure, excuse me, through the north and Western Europe again. Jet stream is doing something a little bit like that, so it keeps the heat at bay to the north and the west of Europe and keeps things relatively unsettled. But many parts of Europe will be very warm or hot through much of next week, actually, with that ridge just there. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The next couple of weeks will Romford today in Essex. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Romford. We're starting off close to average at the moment. We're going to see a warm up. Of course, it's already taking place. So, yes, temperatures lifting up over the next day or so before coming back down again as we go into the weekend. Next week, through the early part of next week and to the middle part of next week, we're on the periphery of very hot air that is sitting over France. Doesn't look like we're going to tap into that really, but it is a very close one thing. It's a couple of days for that to change and, you know, to get some of that very hot air in. But it looks like most of it will be kept on the other side of the channel. As we look to the end of August, last week of the month to the beginning of September, clearly there's a bit of a cool down going on there, returning back close to average with the upper air temperatures. So the third week of August, warm at times, just about on the periphery of extreme heat, but not quite getting there. And then the final week of August, looking much closer to average. Precipitation-wise, we've got the risk of heavy rain, maybe thunderstorms coming up with the cool down on Friday night and Saturday morning. They're relatively dry for the rest of the weekend and into the start of next week, probably turning more unsettled through the final week of the month. Temperature anomalies from the 17th, 25th of August are warmer than average, but notice how hot it is across most parts of Europe. So actually, the UK, Ireland, and probably Norway, and southern parts of Norway in particular, the coolest areas of Europe, really. Most parts of Europe being engulfed in really hot temperature anomalies, at least to 8 to 10 degrees above average, some places even more. So yes, next week will be very hot in many parts of Europe. Precipitation anomalies from 17th to 25th of August excuse me, again showing above average rainfall for Scotland and Ireland. Interestingly, still driving average for many southern and eastern parts of England. Expect these maybe to start trending wetter as the final week of August becomes increasingly into the focus. Latest Windflow Map from earth.nullschool.net shows that we've got an area of low pressure, quite a deep low, out in the Atlantic. Ahead of that, we're drawing up those southerly and also southeasterly winds that trying to bring the heat in from off the continent. Of course, there is a cold front that's going to be pushing eastwards tomorrow, acting as the trigger for heavy rain and maybe some thunder. More about that in store watch a little bit later on. Okay, let's start going through the chart data. Ensemble UK bet Euro run. It's looking big night on Sunday. Quite deep low pressure in the Atlantic, bringing wetter, windy weather maybe into the north and west of Europe, while a ridge builds to the south. Through the early part of next week, high pressure will start to try and move up from the south and bring that very hot air up from the continent as well, but never quite getting there. Low pressure keeping it at bay. So as we get to the end of UK Met run, we're actually in this northwesterly flow, and the heat is retreating away to more sort of central and eastern parts of Europe. Icon, again, looking like this, a ridge of high pressure building up from the south with the early part of next week, trying to drag up those very hot temperatures from the south. Actually, it is a closer run thing with Icon compared to the UK Met. We do just about get the plus 20 cells iceberg into South East England. I'm a little bit dubious about that because no other model is getting the plus 20 cells iceberg that far into the southeast. But certainly Icon is hotter than the UK Met and looking quite volatile at the same time as well. By the end of the Icon run, which is to midday next Thursday, I've got an area of low pressure just to west of Ireland. We're back into volatile conditions with those hot upper air temperatures once more. GFS midnight run, again, with the low pressure out to the northwest of UK and Scotland, UK and Ireland, I should say, on Sunday. Early part of next week, we're trying to build up the high pressure and bring the heat dome northwards, but generally below sort of flattens it off and pushes the heat or keeps heat just over the other side of continent. Very close run thing. As we go through next week, we find a trough of low pressure forming in the north and west Europe. This is a trough really over the heat being moved further and further eastwards all the time. So turning cooler and more showery, as we saw on the 500 millibar height anomaly flow chart as we get towards days 8, 9, 10. Got a ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic, and we're pulling in the winds from a relatively cool northerly direction. Beyond that, where we keep it relatively cool through the final week of August, sort of dry weather with that. That's so long as we get to the end of GFS midnight run. Back under a ridge of high pressure, but the Atlantic is starting to look quite active. So I suspect this ridge is going to be breaking down quite quick with all of this low pressure in the Atlantic. But of course, that is rather speculative. Now, I haven't got a 6Z up, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause the video there, and I'll get the GFS 6Z up next. Okay, there you go, got 6Z up now. So once more, we're starting on Sunday with low pressure out to the north and the west of the UK and Ireland, a ridge of high pressure trying to build up from the south and bring up that heat dome with it into the early part of next week. Again, we see the ridge there over and to the east, which actually are very close to tapping in to the really hot air that's sitting over France. But this area of low pressure is never quite weakened enough to allow that hot air to get in. So that's the upper air temperatures for next Tuesday, 6 a.m. Again, see how hot it is across most parts of France. See there, we just got plus 15 celsius iceberg into the extreme southeastern corner. And it is warm, it is warm through the early part of next week, but the extreme heat being kept at bay never gets in. As we go through the middle part of next week, we set up more of a northwesterly to northerly flow, which really starts to push that heat a little bit further away from us. So actually by Thursday, the upper air temperatures looking really quite cool, especially so up in the north with the 0 Celsius iceberg beginning to start drifting in. As we head up toward day 10, what a cool and unsettled showery look to the weather really into the final week of August with GFS 6Z. We've got a trough of low pressure forming in the north and the west of Europe, combined with this ridge in the Atlantic going up toward the Norwegian Sea. We're pulling in a north-northeasterly wind, and so we're looking not only quite showery, we're looking quite cool as well with that, and it carries on into the more extended range too. In fact, it turns increasingly unsettled with low pressure really starting to get going in the Atlantic through the last days of August into the beginning of September as well. That will bring quite a lot of rain across many parts of the country through the closing days of August and into the start of September, and always quite cool with that as well. So a cool, wet end to August of the GFS 6Z. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. We need to put on around 35 subscribers now. That is all to get ourselves to 16.7k. So if you could give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe, it would be incredible. We thank you so much for doing that. GM once more with low pressure out to the north and west on Sunday through the early part of next week. High pressure is trying to ridge up from the south and bring the dome of heat northwards with it, but it never quite comes off. This trough of low pressure keeps the heat at bay, so we just have Berber showers and or longer spells of rain with an increasingly unsettled and cool look to weather as we head toward day 10, and that will carry on beyond it as well, so quite a cool and wet end to, or showery end to August with that one. Finally, the ECM at WF with the low pressure out to the northwest on Sunday. High pressure building up from the south for the early part of next week. Upper air temperatures for Tuesday show that the very hot air is being kept over France, away from us. It tries to get northwards through Wednesday, but it just doesn't quite come up. It's set up this area of low pressure trough over the country, bringing showers and longer spells of rain with it. We just get the plus 15 Celsius iceberg into the far southeast corner there Wednesday to Thursday, but then it's quickly moved away again as we pull down these northwesterly or northerly winds, and actually through the end of next week and into the final weekend of August, bank holiday weekend, the weather turns cool under this trough of low pressure. Look at the upper air temperatures with the heat being shunted away to southern and eastern parts of Europe, and we're actually drawing in quite cool air, quite cool upper air temperatures from the north by the time we get to day 10, bank holiday weekend. And that does have a showery look to it as well, so not only cool, but probably rather showery over bank holiday weekend, but of course that's a long way off. Precipitation-wise, with that ECM run, this precipitation forecast, but it's on that ECM run, I should say. So we have got a few thunderstorms pushing northwards actually through tomorrow morning. And then beyond that, you know, we're just pushing through really further wet weather from Friday into Saturday. Turns drier through the rest of the weekend to the start of next week. And then heading up toward day 10, more showers, thunderstorms, long spells, rain, whatnot to come. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. From the Icelandic Met Office gets the 27th of August. 12 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure in the Atlantic going towards Greenland. Trough of low pressure is away to our east. Winds are coming in from the north or northeast direction. Probably quite dry with that, but could be a little bit on the cool side. Another 12 with mid-Atlantic ridge up towards Greenland and Iceland. A trough of low pressure through the north and west Europe. That is cool and unsettled on the cool side. The jet stream with that, and the trough of low could bring in showery conditions as well. 9 with high pressure slightly to the west of Ireland. That's drier winds coming in from the northwest. We got 7 with high pressure in the North Atlantic going up towards the Norwegian Sea. That pulls in a bit of a northeast wind. That's going to be probably relatively dry but cool. We've got 6, including the operational run, with blocking to the north around Iceland and low pressure underneath it. That's probably going to be quite cool and showery. And then we've got 5 with high pressure sitting right over the top of the coast. That's the driest and probably warmest option. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. It gets us to the 1st of September. We've got 11 members of the ECM ensemble building ridge back in. That's mostly dry. It won't be that warm, but probably mostly dry. We've got 10 with high pressure to the north of Scotland. Again, a lot of dry weather with that. Winds in from more an easterly direction. 9 with high pressure in the Atlantic going up towards Greenland. Probably some sort of trough through here. Certainly lower pressures through there anyway. 8 with blocking around Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure over Scandinavia and winds coming in from the northeast. That's going to be cool and quite unsettled. 7 with low pressure to the west, high pressure slipping away to the east. That's going to be more Atlantic driven, but will be unsettled. And 6 with high pressure, again, somewhere around Iceland, low pressure underneath it. That brings the wettest weather into the south. So a range of options there for the beginning of September. We might find high pressure gets back in again for the start of September. It often does in early September, so we might find high pressure gets back in the start of September, but it is by no means a guarantee. CFS V2, finally, it's a 500 millibar Height Anomalies break down to week periods. The first week period takes us from the 17th to 23rd of August. This week has high pressure over and to the east of the country. Low pressures out to the west. We bring up the wind from a southerly direction. So, yes, it will be trying to turn hot, but most heat will be kept over France, actually. Week 2 will be the 24th to the 30th of August. High pressure more towards Iceland. Again, a lot of dry weather with that, you would have thought, but could be a bit on the cooler side, with winds coming more from a northeasterly direction, perhaps. Week 3 is going to be the 31st of August, 6th of September. Low pressure from Iceland to Scandinavia. High pressure down towards Spain. Winds coming in from a west or northwesterly direction. Could be cool and showery there. And then week 4 will be the 7th to the 13th of September. High pressure to our south, low pressure to the north. Looks all rather flat and westerly with that. Most unsettled weather is in the north, and the driest weather will be down in the south. Temperature probably not that far from average. We'll see. That's all speculation. We've got a lot to think about, I think, for the rest of August, never mind September. Okay, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe, and show everyone to do that. Drop a comment and say what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so very much, everybody, for doing that. For us, so we're going to have Stormwatch coming up for you later on. Watch out for that. I'll be releasing Stormwatch probably about 7:30ish, I would have thought. And then tomorrow, we've got the 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. I might try and get a bank holiday update done, including various events as well. So we've got Reading and Leeds festivals over bank holiday weekend. So I'll try and get that done for you tomorrow as well. JMA Friday and a 10 to 14 there. The content just keeps on coming. So please keep checking back to the channel for more. But for this one, been quite a long one today, hasn't it? Rather epic, over 20 minutes. Okay, so for this one, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and see you maybe a little bit later on for Stormwatch. Bye for now.